So God, I just thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I thank you for all the people that you have touched their hearts to come out and hear just what it is that we as a care team at Forest Hill really are impressed upon to share with them. I pray, God, that they will all come away with something, that one thing that you wanted to speak to their hearts, to remind them of how much you love them, how much you care for them, and that you see them where they are and in their story. I pray your blessing over each person here, and I just pray, God, that they will have a sense of your presence. I pray this all in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, so my name is Belinda Johnson, and I'm on the care team. I'm one of the staff counselors, and I've been here about 5 years. On staff, I've been a part of the church since 2005. My husband and I both come, and he's a deacon. I have 2 daughters that are grown, and I have 3 grandchildren, and I love them all very much. So I just wanted to give you a little bit about myself. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to start off, first of all, with just a time of quiet and reflection. I want you to think about how are you coming into this space. So this is actually a grounding exercise. And so one of the things that I've done is I've tried to incorporate some tools for you to use in your own space to help center you and ground you and ultimately connect you with the Lord. So you can keep your eyes open, you can close your eyes, but I want you just to we're going to do this for a minute, not very long, and I want you just to notice your breath first. How are you breathing? Is it easy? Or is it sort of anxious? Next, I want you to notice any physical sensations that are in your body. Tightness. Is there tightness anywhere? Maybe in your shoulders or your chest. Just be open and accepting of what you're experiencing. Maybe take a deep breath in and a pause and then an exhale. Next, notice any feelings that you're having. Perhaps it was a rush to get here. Perhaps you haven't had dinner. Perhaps you left home in a chaos. Just be open and accepting of those feelings. Be curious and non-judgmental about your experience. What are your thoughts? Are you tired? Are you sad? Are you lonely? Be open to what's happening inside of you. Jesus, we give you all of this evening. We give you our sensations. We give you our feelings. We give you our thoughts. And we invite you in to this space. Amen. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back. So that was a grounding exercise that can be helpful for you if you need to bring some calm and some peace into your mind and into your heart. So I have here, what is isolation? I think we all have a real understanding of it at this point. There is a lot of what we're experiencing is considered to be social isolation, and it's basically exactly what's happening. We may not have many, or maybe we have had no social interactions. So social isolation is characterized by little to none social interaction. And then loneliness, the difference with loneliness is that it is the discrepancy between what you want and what you have concerning social interaction. The discrepancy between what you want and what you have. I want you to just pay attention to how this strikes you. Let's just take a pause, and I want you to think about what you want and what you have and where you are in that experience. Social isolation before COVID, it affected 1 in 5 adults. More than 25% of the population lives alone, and the average household is shrinking. These are just facts, nothing new at this point. Then we hit COVID, and we have a 2020 survey from Cigna that 70% of Gen Z, 71% of millennials are experiencing loneliness. 50% of baby boomers are experiencing loneliness. So it runs the gamut across the generations, but we do see the younger generations experiencing it perhaps in a more vivid and real way. The thought is baby boomers have a wider experience to draw upon, have weathered perhaps more storms in life, and are able to kind of hold on till the end of this particular storm. Loneliness causes people to feel empty, alone, unwanted, and all of us has experienced loneliness. I experienced loneliness also. Triggers of loneliness can be health problems, living alone or not near family, being dissatisfied with your family and or your social life. Sometimes we have struggles within our family, and we want to have that, beaver cleaver family. We want to have the family we see represented on the media. Transportation issues causes loneliness. Unemployment causes loneliness. Exposure to domestic or community violence, which we have all experienced this year with all of the challenges and the difficulties we've had with the racial injustice that has been, that has really come to sort of a cataclysmic place. We also know that domestic violence has been on the rise with the enforced isolation. So I wanted just to highlight this particular slide about the Ericsson stages of development. He was a psychoanalyst that lived during the 20th century. He actually, I discovered, won the, now I don't remember. It's either a Pulitzer or Nobel Prize, but one of those, he won something very important, and he did not have a bachelor's degree. I thought that was interesting, but he was a professor at Harvard and Yale without a bachelor's degree. He did undergo a lot of training. So stage 6 of Ericsson's stages, it's young adulthood. This is where we develop our identities, is through all of his stages of psychosocial development and intimacy versus isolation. So we see in particular with Gen Y and Gen Z that Gen Y I learned was millennials. I didn't know that, but maybe all of you do. We learned that in this stage in particular, that individuals are forming friendships and they're looking for the long-term partnerships. So it's a particularly difficult time that the younger generation needs relationships to have these new experiences which are part of their development and helps them later on in life. So it can be especially challenging for this age group in particular. Loneliness can affect our physical health. It impairs our immune response and resistance to diseases and infections. It can also affect our mental health, which I'm very aware of as a counselor, also very aware of because, you know, we all have mental health. That is just the level playing field, but then there are times when we struggle within our mental health, right? So this was interesting that it can be contagious if you are friends with someone who is experiencing depression, that it can actually have an effect on you. Now, that is not the reason to not befriend someone who is experiencing depression, but it's a reason to take care of yourself while you are reaching out to someone who maybe is hurting. Loneliness causes higher risk for depression, poor cognitive function, dementia, also may contribute to alcohol-related deaths and suicide. However, we do have protective factors, and this is really important, that this is what keeps our mental health in a balanced place. Good social support, meaningful daily interactions, a couple close friends, some solid relationships, good sleep habits, exercising daily, walking's great, and then a healthful diet. And we're going to be talking a little bit more of these things down the road. But if you're thinking about where you are as far as protective factors, you can kind of check off and see if you are able to say, yeah, I've got that. Yeah, I'm doing that. I need to work on that one. I need to figure out how to incorporate that in my life. Okay, so I have now the good news, aside from the protective factors, as Maria talked about in the opening session, that we are designed for relationship, that the evidence of the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and how they are in relationship with each other, communicates to us how we are created. We are designed in the image of God. And we need relationships as much as God enjoys relationships. God designed our brains, our bodies and brains so beautifully that in the deepest part of our brain, which is our brain is ground control for how we work, we are wired for attachment. God recognized that after creating the amazing world, it was not good for man to be alone. It's kind of amazing to think about that after God created all that, God was involved in man's life, but he said it wasn't good for man to be alone. It's like he was saying, you need relationships too. So we know he created Eve. And consequently, our motivation for relationship is hardwired into our brains, reflecting the ultimate relationship between the Trinity and after that, between God and man and woman. So our brains are hardwired for attachment. Originally with our parents main caregivers, also with family, friends, significant other, and most importantly with God. And the reason I am emphasizing God in this is that with isolation, sometimes we can't control our daily interactions or having somebody there with us, especially if we're somebody who lives alone. God is an important part of our life that transcend our being alone because God can be there with us. We can invite him in. He's always present. Think about when you were a baby or when you had or held a baby or observed someone caring for a baby. What do babies need? Babies need to be seen, soothed, safe, and secure. And okay, so I have a confession. I haven't done a PowerPoint in a while since I was back in grad school. And apparently, you need to do something with your Microsoft to update to get clip art. I didn't have any, so I'm using personal pictures. So just know that's my daughter and her husband, my grandkids, and my grandson Huck is loving on his new baby sister. And that's all that babies want. That's all we want. We want to be seen, soothed, feel safe, and be secure, just like babies. Do you know that your brain can help regulate my emotions? Right now, my brain can help you regulate your emotions. Our brains connect when we're together. The hard thing is our brains don't really connect very well when we are on FaceTime or Zoom. It is not the same as being in person. Being in person, you have body language, facial expressions that you can read more easily. You see the eyes, how our eyes are, conveying empathy or care or concern. So by you seeing me, soothing me, providing me with safety and security, I feel seen, I feel known, which is what it's all about. Your brain conveys all of this. Your right brain conveys all of this to my right brain. And then it gets processed through my left brain and out. And I feel not alone after that. Our right hemisphere processes our reality 6 times per second. This is faster than conscious thought. Conscious thought is in the left side of the brain. 5 times per second it is processing. So our right brain processes faster. That's why we have a physical reaction before our left brains make sense of what's happening. Super interesting. The right side manages our emotional connectedness to God and to others. So that is essential. We're going to do another exercise of utilizing that. Connectedness is a two-way street. This is my husband and his mom. It's outside the Ballantyne campus. I just love that picture. It makes me want to cry. I need you to come and find me. I also need to go and find you. Kurt Thompson is a psychiatrist. He is really good at studying and bringing together interpersonal neurobiology and spiritual formation. And so we have a responsibility in our isolation that we need to go and find people, and we need them to come find us. And maybe them is the wrong pronoun, maybe singular. I need to go find a friend or my friend, and I need my friend to come and find me. It's a two-way street. And this is a story that I wanted to just read very quickly. Yeah, we're good. This is from John chapter 5, and this is where Jesus is going to Jerusalem for the Feast of the Jews. And it says, "Now there is in Jerusalem, near the sheep gate, a pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethesda, and which is surrounded by 5 covered colonnades. Here a great number of disabled people used to lie, the blind, the lame, the paralyzed. One who was there had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" "Sir," the invalid replied, "I have no one to help me into the pool when the water is stirred. While I'm trying to get in, someone else goes down ahead of me." Then Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your mat, and walk." At once the man was cured. He picked up his mat and walked. This brings up a very, very interesting and important point. Jesus' question, "Do you want to get well?" requires a response and an action. Once again, it's a two-way street. It's not all about who will find me, but I also have to initiate and I have to find. Hope in hard times. That's my dog. Our response. Neuroplasticity. This is amazing. God is such an amazing creator that he designed our bodies in a beautiful way. And our brains have something, they're plastic, and it's called neuroplasticity. And what that means is that they are capable of growing and changing. And that growth occurs when we have new neural pathways created, and those pathways go from a path to a superhighway by repetition. So the more we do something, the deeper the pathway and the easier it is to actually do that thing. Kind of like practice makes perfect. So your parents, they were right. Your practice does make perfect. The more we repeat something, the more a neural pathway moves from the trail to a road to a superhighway. Neurons that fire together, wire together is the phrase. Mindfulness exercises do this. It grows our brain. It actually creates gray matter. That's the good stuff in your brain. And it increases our capacity for joy, compassion, contentment, and peace. And I don't know about you, but I can use that. I need more of that. How do we do this? We do this by opening up the relational circuits in our brain. And we do this one way is by expanding our joy. And now there is a difference between joy and happiness. Perhaps you've kind of thought this through or heard this. Happiness tends to be circumstantial, and joy tends to be steady. And I think of joy as not that there can be peaks in joy, definitely, but there's not those lows. That we just kind of are steady across. And I think of Paul in particular. I've learned to be content in all circumstances. I like to think of joy as contentment, as peace. That is pretty helpful for me. We do this so we expand our joy through the practice of gratitude. Now, I've heard this a lot. I've heard, gratitude. Say 3 things you're thankful for every day, and you will be happier. Well, you know what? That never worked for me. But this works for me. And I think there's a key difference that I never knew about that I discovered. So the first thing we want to do is we want to come up with a memory of joy that we're grateful for. We also want that memory of joy to contain some sort of connection to God. And a lot of times that connection to God might be simply in knowing that God loves you so much that he put people in your life that you have had good memories with, because he's showing you he cares, and he's allowing these people to be his hands and feet. So it doesn't have to be any like a mystical thing. It's just like, wow, I really felt a sense of connection there with God. So I kind of explain how to do this, which I'm going to do, and then we're going to do it, okay? So we first go to a memory of joy that we're grateful for. We want to choose a memory that contains a connection to God. We draw up the feelings evoked by that memory. We ask ourselves, what do I feel in my body? It's really important that we always connect the body to what's happening in our mind or in our emotions. That is what we call integration, and that is part of our healing process. When we are feeling in a state of chaos, we're feeling disintegrated. So we want to be integrated. Perhaps what you feel is a warmth or a relaxation. I might feel something in my stomach or chest or any really part of your body. You stay with the feeling until it disappears. We then go to another grateful memory of joy. It's helpful to create a list of 5 to 10 joy memories that you can draw from throughout the meditation. Now, we're not going to do the full meditation tonight. And as you're doing the meditation, I want you to think about, what might God want to convey to you? What is he trying to communicate to you? It might be peace. It might be you're not alone. The idea is to do this meditation for 5 minutes daily and see what happens. Another really great way to solidify, the word is concretize, make concrete this experience, is afterwards to actually write in a journal or on a notepad what this experience was like for you and what God might have to say to you in this space. And I want you to know that I've been doing this myself since early December, and it has been a really powerful experience to open my eyes to the awareness of God and to the fact that I am not alone. He's always there, but I'm not paying attention most of the time. And this has made me just more aware of seeing him. Outside my office at home where I work, because we're working remote, I look out the window and I'm telling you, it is the coolest thing. And I've never noticed this till I started doing this exercise. There is a cardinal that comes occasionally and sits outside my window on a tree branch, and the trees are all, no leaves, and they're all gray, and there's this beautiful little red bird. It's very small. We're talking a distance of probably 100 feet. I mean, it's not real close. And I will tell you that I have sessions on my computer with clients, and there are times when I am like, God, I need your help, because I want to be helpful to my client. And that bird, I'll look up and I'll see that red bird there. And that bird is not there all the time. So it's just kind of like, for me, that is something I feel like God is saying to me. He's saying, I see you, I'm here, and I'm with you. So anyway, it's kind of a cool thing. Okay, secrets of meditation. Meditation's hard. And anybody who tells you otherwise, well, they're not telling the truth, because our minds are constantly going, and we are, ping-ponging in our heads. And the minute we try to quiet ourselves, a million things come up. And, we don't want to forget what we're suddenly remembering, right? So it's just the distraction, the opposition is real. I will say that the more you practice meditation, the easier it becomes. Remember those neural pathways that we're creating, working on a super highway. So when you begin your meditation, take, say 3 rounds of breath, inhaling through your nose, a pause, and a deep exhale. And then just focus on what it is, the memory you want to think of. And when your mind drifts, which I guarantee it will, don't scold yourself. Don't be like, oh, I can't do this. This is too hard. This is ridiculous. Just gently shift your mind back to what you're focusing on. That's all. Just gently shift it back. Find a comfortable place where you can do this. Be alone so you're not interrupted. Turn your phone off or put it on silence. And 5 minutes. It's amazing. 5 minutes, it does go by pretty fast at times. Other times, it's slow. You can do it 3 times a day to increase your joy capacity. I will say I haven't done that. Okay, I'm just being honest here. I was checking it out first. But what I've noticed is that it really helps. This is growing your brain. This is increasing your connection with God and helping you in your place of isolation. Okay, so we're going to do one very quickly. We've got time. So I want you just to go ahead and close your eyes again. And I'm going to take you through a little breath work. I want you to just take a deep inhale through your nose. And a pause. And then exhale. And do it again. An inhale. A pause. And an exhale. And now one more time. An inhale. A pause and an exhale. Now I want you just to draw your mind to a joyful memory. A memory of gratitude, where you feel gratitude, where you're grateful for that memory. Just allow your mind to go checking out a memory where you may feel a sense of connection, a connection with God. Place yourself in that memory. Go ahead and place yourself in it. I want you to relive it. Evoke the feelings. Allow them just to come up. I want you to notice in your body where you feel that the feelings of that memory. I want you to just to stay with it until it perhaps starts to fade. I want you to notice perhaps what God may be trying to convey to you in that memory. It may be that I see you. I know you. I care about you. Just enjoy the experience. When you're ready, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and come back to me in the room. When you're ready. Okay. I just want to know, were you able to have a sense of that memory and the feelings that it evoked in you? Did you feel that gratitude of joy, gratitude for that memory? Yeah. It's amazing what we store and what we can bring up within us. We know we can bring up the hard things, but a lot of times we forget we can bring up these good things. And I talked about the missing piece with just, saying, well, I'm thankful I have a home. I'm thankful I have heat. I'm thankful I have food. I am very thankful for those things. But I wasn't connecting it. I wasn't fully living in that memory with my body. I didn't notice what was happening in my body, the warmth, maybe the relaxation in my shoulders, tension sort of easing as I evoked that memory. The importance of touch. This is another daughter and her baby. And I loved it because you just see the love there. And that's what we all want. We all want that love. We all want to be seen, soothed, safe, and secure, right? We want that. I still want that. The importance of touch. Now, this I thought was really interesting. Obviously, we know touch is important, and we know in isolation, we miss our hugs, we miss our friends, we miss family members, we miss the people we work with, if we're not able to be there with them in person. And there's a reason. So touch is essential. In our time right now with COVID, with all the challenges that we've had this past year, we have a lot of stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, that can build up in our bodies. And it impacts our blood pressure, can cause heart disease, it increases our anxiety, and we all know this. We all have come into this time with this. But our bodies are designed, once again, thank you, God, in such a beautiful way that we have ways to help alleviate and reduce, tamp down those stress hormones. Touch, affectionate touch, releases serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin. And so, the cool thing is that if you have somebody that you're safe with and you are able to hug for 30 seconds. Don't just do a quick hug or a shoulder thing, the shoulder thing, but do a real hug, and you will notice your body relaxing. Hugging stimulates pressure receptors under the skin that send electrical signals to the vagus nerve, which sends pathways to most of the organs in our body, including a direct line to our brain. I know you're not going to probably remember this stuff. This results in a regulation of our breathing, blood pressure, heart rate, and a slowing down of the production of stress hormones. The good news is we can also self-touch, self-massage. So, I don't know if you've ever had your feet hurt, if after you've walked maybe a while and you just massage your feet, you are reducing or you're tamping down the stress hormones in your body, and it feels good. You're helping the muscles and all that too. So I think that's a really cool thing. Also, exercise like yoga also activates the pressure set receptors under the skin and tamps down our stress response. I think that's a very cool thing. Back to the story of Jesus and actually the paralyzed man. Response and action. That do you want to get well, requires a response and an action. Not just a yes, I want to get well, but an action. Do I want to help myself in my loneliness? Yes. Now what am I going to do about that? Remember, I need to find another, and I need another to find me. It's two ways. This is a three-legged stool of wellness, and you've maybe heard this before. Exercise, the most important thing you can do for wellness. It helps your sleep and your diet. That's why it's kind of the linchpin. Sleep, 7 to 8 hours. It's where our bodies regenerate, heal, restore. And then a healthful diet. Stay hydrated. If you do drink alcohol, watch your alcohol intake, and caffeine. Those dehydrate our bodies. Other suggestions. Now, these are things that are essential for helping yourself. Remember that we have to take an action. We need a routine. We need structure. Let's say that we don't have a job. Maybe we lost our job in COVID. And all we want to do is maybe sit on the couch and watch TV or be on the computer, play video games. I don't know what else, but maybe do those things. Maybe go to the refrigerator and eat. So we need to create structure in our life. We need to we need to go outside daily. And, I put 30 minutes, at least 15. The sun is very life-giving, and you get vitamin D from the sun, but it also, if anybody has seasonal affective disorder, SAD, where gloomy days really affect you, they really affect me. When I see the sun, it just makes me happy inside. Go out in the sun. Reach out one time a day. Action. Reach out to somebody and just talk, and just think about it. That person you're reaching out to, they may need you. They may be needing that just at that minute. And that will help them, and it will help you. Create. I used to think I wasn't creative because I don't have an obvious creative talent. But you know what? I've given up on that, and I just do whatever I want. And one of the things I do love is color. So I use color in my home, and it's not done by a decorator, I can tell you that. But I love color. We have flowers in our yard that I plant. So just thinking about what is it you can create. A lot of people cook. I wish I did. A lot of people, do needlework. They do hobbies, crafts, write. So think about what you're creating. We are designed to create. I like that. The Creator likes us to create too. Talk back to the negative chatter in your head, like, golly, another day. Each day is like Groundhog Day, right? Talk back to it. What am I going to do today that's different? Or what am I going to do to just at least implement the structure of my day? When you have that structure, once again, that neural pathway's been created and you automatically fall in line. Since I have become an older adult, I get up early in the morning. When I was younger, there is no way I would get up. I did not want to get up. But now I go to bed early. I won't say how early, and I get up early, and I love it. And I think part of it is that nothing's really going on at night, and it's dark. I don't like dark. So I go to bed, and in the morning, everything feels fresh. There's possibilities. It's a whole day. I have energy. So it just kind of works for me. But I never was an early morning person. I was a 10 to 2, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., 4 hours I was good for, and that was it. So things have changed. When you have negative chatter, consider both sides of the negative statement. Like, let's say I lost my job. I'm never going to get a job. No one's going to ever hire me. Look at both sides. Look at evidence for that and evidence against. When we have a statement like that and make it an absolute, we are only considering the negative evidence that supports the negative statement. We never look at it with our whole brain. We never look at it with both sides of the equation. And we want to recognize the exception. If this were your friend, what would you tell him or her? Most of us are much nicer to our friends than we are to ourselves. What would you tell your friend about what's going on inside of your head that's negative? Reframe how you look at the statement. This is an opportunity to think differently. Instead of a hardship, it becomes an opportunity to do things that you've never done before, to maybe explore some topics that you've never been able to because you didn't have time, and now you have time. Take care of your hygiene. I know that's kind of silly, but you know, some of us don't shower as often when we're home all day. Some of us live in sweats because I only dress the top half because that's all that's seen. And using colors. And it really does make a difference. You know, brush your hair, brush your teeth. Another grounding exercise is practice being present using your 5 senses: see, hear, taste, touch, smell. And, immediately you can help calm your brain by drawing your attention to a single object and exploring that object that it may be right in front of you using your 5 senses. What do you see? What do you hear? If you could hear whatever that object was. What do you touch? What does it touch? What does it feel like? Does it have a smell? Taste can sometimes be too hard, so we don't want to push it if it's just an object. But if you're outside, you certainly would be able to utilize all those senses. Limit social media and the news. Help someone. That is a huge thing. You know, when we actually help another person, we really get the reward. It just makes us feel so good. And that feeling lasts. That's not a short-lived. And then that's a feeling that we can bring up, and that can become a grateful memory. Like, what was that like to do that? What was that like to give of myself in that way? Find a long-term project and dive in. Lower expectations and practice radical self-acceptance. Accept everything about yourself, current situation, and life without question, blame, or pushback. That's hard. Radical self-acceptance. Find humor in each day. I'm going to end up going faster because I think my time is running out. Give others benefit of the doubt. Notice the good in the world. Engage in repetitive movements, coloring, knitting, walking, running. The left-right movements stimulate the left and right hemispheres of your brain. This alternating bilateral movement is calming. Chunk overwhelming issues into smaller doable steps. Find meaning, learning from adversity. Create a playlist of music that ministers to your heart. Journal your feelings. Remember to breathe. Practice. We are not going to have time to do this, I don't think. 7:40. Okay. But this is something, I'm hoping that if you guys want, you can access this PowerPoint so that these things are available to you. I'm going to try to see how we can figure that out. Daniel Siegel created this. It's called Sift and Coal. It's a mindfulness strategy. Basically, you use the sift, sensations, images, feelings, thoughts, and you explore that inside of you using coal, curiosity, openness, acceptance, and love. This idea of being an impartial, non-judgmental, compassionate observer of yourself. You sift with the attitude of coal. It's a meditation. So you give yourself a few minutes and you take yourself through that, and it calms the what we call the sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight, flight, and freeze. Calms anxiety, can calm panic, and it can also help with depression. Okay, that's telling you how to do it. The last thing in the sifting coal is I love to invite Jesus into the space with me and just have a time of visualizing Jesus looking into my face. I'm looking into his eyes. I know we don't really know what he looks like, but we all kind of have our own idea. And seeing that compassion and love emanating from his face. Notice the beauty around you. Beauty is another way to calm our sympathetic nervous system. Be outside, be in nature. Lastly, be intentional. Notice your world. Develop awareness for what is happening in you and around you. How can you bring joy to someone, including yourself, and breathe? The end, I have some resources, and I know I can leave this up, but there's some apps. Abide is a good meditation app. Examine is a great app for looking at the day's events or the preceding day and seeing where you noticed God. WhatsApp, these are actual CBT, cognitive behavioral strategies to help you cope with hard things that happen. Brainwave, 35 bioneural programs are brain waves that are helping to calm your brain down. And I used it driving to Florida, and it really helped. I have a lot of anxiety on the road, and it was like, oh, nothing's really bothering me. This is good. And then books, meditation book, Into the Silent Land. Joyful Journey, listening to Emmanuel. This is really good about journaling and listening to God. And then Invitation to Solitude and Silence, about contemplative prayer and practice, and then Sacred Rhythms. Those are really good. So I'll leave those up for you. And we are finished. Thank you. And I know there's not really Q&A time, but I think we're supposed to be back. But if anybody has a question, you can ask, and we'll just then go back. Anybody have anything? No. You guys were great. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.